Hello and welcome to my channel once again. I am Steve if this is the first time you're actually getting here. And today we'll literally be talking about steps to fix Postgres or Redis connect error. Sometimes it's actually reporting it that is a password issue, whereas it's not a password issue, it's basically the IP address. Now, this might actually happen sometimes because of these particular scenarios. Understand that when you're using a Docker container on a VPS, most of the times you might actually be using it with Docker's network, which it comes by default with, or it might also be that Postgres is not listening on the bridge, or Postgres probably doesn't trust the bridge subnet. Now, this is how things are actually being handled in a VPS. And this works for any VPS, not only probably one from XYZ provider and so on and so forth. Okay, so at this point you can notice here we have the Docker internal IP, which is basically in our VPS that we purchase, and everything is on the VPS is running on the local host, which mostly is identified with 127.0.0.1. And the Docker might be represented using this particular subdomain, and which might correspond or might map to any of these IP addresses. I will show you guys how to actually know exactly on what IP address it is found. Here are the different steps that we need to follow in order to be able to fix it up. We'll first start by installing and configuring Coolify, inspect the Coolify Docker network, install Postgres on the host, set up the user, and just following up with the different other steps. Now I'll be going gradually and progressively, so we should be on the same page. This is the VPS I actually purchased from Azure to be able to do this little tutorial. I hope the tutorial will be helpful to you, by the way. And here we're actually having the installation guideline. Okay, and I use my command. So Coolify will literally take some time to actually install. This VPS doesn't have Coolify, it doesn't have Docker, so we do it at once. And sometimes it actually be good to be looking at the logs. You can see here it's saying Docker is not installed, installing Docker, this may take a while, and blah blah blah, and all the rest. Let's give it some time. Okay, the installation is still going on as of now, and we are still expecting everything to finish. Okay, congratulations, Coolify got installed. Now, the reason why we're installing Coolify is simply because most people nowadays, for self-hosted applications, they mostly rely on tools like Coolify or Dockploy, but any of it works so far as Docker is involved. So let's just check this and see. Now that Coolify has been installed, let's cross-check this. I actually need to be connected as root to perform actions regarding Coolify. So yeah, that's it. Coolify is actually running. The path it usually takes for the installation is cd/data. That is where Coolify mostly get installed. You can see there. So the next step that we'll actually use, let me step out of there. The next step we'll actually use will be to inspect the networks. Let's understand how the Docker networks they work. And here we are having the different network on our VPS. We have the bridge, we have the Coolify host, and this null network instance. It just come alongside Docker, but I mean alongside Coolify, sorry. But let's check. So this is the internal IP address, the IP address I was telling you guys about when I was talking regarding this. So in this case, for instance, the IP address we are supposed to use here is 10 oh it's 10.2. Okay, let me write one and paste 10.0.2.1. That's the IP address that we are supposed to be using. Now let's go to the next step. After inspecting the gateway to know what is our IP address, let's install Postgres. So normally the way Coolify actually works is that you should normally be able to have access to all the different services inside Coolify. So you should not be installing things on bare metal and trying to connect inside Coolify. But for resource efficiency, sometimes we might find ourselves going off track and just trying to do exactly what we fit our use case in this particular scenario, for instance. Okay, so at this point we'll actually proceed with the installation of our Postgres instance. Okay, so the app update. Postgres is being installed on our VPS. And let's be sure everything is actually being enabled after its installation. Okay, let's check the status. Okay, so the status is active and all the services are actually enabled. Okay, now let's see where the config of the Postgres instance are found, because we actually need to copy a few things from it. Okay, this is where we will find the different configurations. So here I'm going to do in nano. Yeah, that's actually the next step. I'm literally going to do in nano Postgres conf, and at this point I will actually do some edit. I will do some edit at this particular section. I will look for listening address. You can see the listening address defaults to localhost. This is it just here. So instead of having localhost, I will actually go to have a star here. Let me do that. Okay, and I can save this. I have to also edit this. So the version of Postgres, it might be different based on your operating system. For this one, it just default to 16. So let's just be using 16 for now. And let me go ahead with this one. I just have to paste this particular one under, so we can be able to access our network. And remember our IP address. This was actually the IP address that we had, and the IP address is still it still occurs that it falls under that particular network. So I copy this and I'll paste it here. I can exit and I can do a sudo restart Postgres. Postgres is restarting. Now I have to also do some firewall configuration. Okay, let me check the status of Postgres, if Postgres has restarted effectively. Okay, status. So Postgres is still running on our end. I guess this is actually a lot of logs. Let me try to clear this off for now. And let's come back to these particular steps. Well, we'll actually create our user. We'll actually try to create our user. And here we'll just use anything. Let me just say I will just use here something like app user. Yeah, not my app user. Let's say I'm using something like my app user here. Create user, my app db, my app user, and I will use password here. Yes, please don't do this in production. Even if you are not exposing your ports, it's not a good practice. I'm just doing this simply because this is literally a tutorial and I need easily to remember everything I'm actually typing. So I will just copy all of these, cross-checking the last time, my appdb. Okay, so I can now do an exit. I'm out of the Postgres and the user is there actually. Wait, the app user was created. Create. Let me check something. Okay, I was thinking that the database was not created since I did not see it appearing, but everything is actually working fine now. Okay, so let me try to understand what is happening at the level of the processes running on the port. So apparently the firewall is not yet connected to the Postgres. SSLNTP. Oh, why was I typing this? It's crazy. So now I have to check what process is actually running here. And here we have our Postgres instance clearly running on our VPS. And then we'll try now this. Remember, we actually changed this, my app user to my app. Let me just do a single line thing. Let me wipe it off and just get everything on a single line. Okay, it's actually pulling up the container now, and when it will be done, it will ask me for my password. So now we will try to connect to our Docker instance, which we will just install and just try to simulate the connection to, the local Postgres. Yes, and for that we need a Docker container which comes with PSQL. For that reason, we are taking the Postgres 17 container from Docker Hub, and I try to do this. Okay, permission denied. I do a sudo. Let me put a cd, and I'm prompted to actually request for the password, and here I'm using password. I'm not sure if I'm having a table here. Okay, I'm actually having a database here. Let me try to get the other things. Did not find a relation. Oh, apparently there are no tables inside this one. But yeah, as you can see, everything is actually working well. Now let's assume a scenario where I'm actually using probably something like I don't know, localhost. Yeah, let's say like localhost. You can see it's actually unable to connect. Or let's say for instance I'm actually using I don't know, 127.0.0.1, and is still unable to connect. Now this is literally what mostly happens when you're trying to connect inside a Docker instance. So this is how we fix this problem. So you will actually tell me if you enjoyed watching this video and if everything was fine on your end, and if you encountered any issue, just let me know. I will endeavor to share this particular file in the comment section, so just quickly have a look at it. Thank you.